You know, the most complex, most personal book ever written, it's not sitting on some library shelf. It's inside of you. Today, we're going to crack open that book, your personal genetic instruction manual. This is the blueprint that makes you, well, uniquely you. So let's get into it. Right? We've all wondered about this stuff. It's this fascinating puzzle of family resemblances. But the answer isn't magic. Nope. It's all written in a biological code, and it's hidden deep inside pretty much every single cell in your body. To find it, we're going to have to zoom in, way in. Okay, so our first stop is at the microscopic level. We're going way past skin and muscle, right down to the fundamental building blocks of your body. We're looking for the command center, the place where all of your biological instructions are kept.
I mean, just look at that number, trillions. It's almost impossible to wrap your head around. Each one of these little units is like a tiny bustling factory, all working together in this huge coordinated effort just to keep you going. And these fundamental units, well, you know them as cells.
Every single type of cell, whether it's a heart cell that beats or a brain cell that fires, has a super specialized job. But here's the part that's absolutely wild. Almost every one of those cells contains an identical, complete copy of your instruction manual, and it's kept safe inside a central library called the nucleus. So let's push even further, right inside the nucleus of one of those cells. We're in the library now, and you'll see that the instruction manual isn't just one giant, messy book. No, it's all neatly organized into a set of separate volumes, which makes the information a whole lot easier to manage. And these volumes? They're called chromosomes. They are these incredibly dense, tightly coiled packages of your DNA, and they're designed to keep all that genetic information organized and protected. And get this, without this super efficient packaging, the DNA from just one of your cells would stretch out to be about 2 meters long. No joke. So how many volumes are we talking about in the typical human library? Well, the magic number is 46. They're all arranged in 23 pairs, and this really elegant structure is the key to understanding how our genetic information gets passed down from one generation to the next. This right here is exactly where your own special mix of traits comes from. For each of those 23 pairs, you get one chromosome from your mom and one from your dad. That combination is what makes you a perfect blend of both your parents, but also someone totally new and unique. Now, that 23rd pair is a little different. Those are the sex chromosomes. Your mother always contributes an X chromosome. The deciding factor actually comes from your father. If his sperm contributes an X, the baby is XX and biologically female. If it contributes a Y, the baby is XY and biologically male. Okay, so we've seen the volumes, the chromosomes. Now it's time to zoom in even further. We're going to unspool one of those tightly packed volumes and finally read the actual text written inside. And there it is, DNA, the iconic double helix. This amazing molecule contains the actual code, the language that spells out literally everything about you, from your hair color to how your body fights off a cold. This isn't just an analogy, it is the code of life. What's just mind-boggling is that this entire, incredibly complex language is written with an alphabet of just 4 chemical bases, A, T, C, and G. And they follow a really simple, strict rule. A always partners up with T, and C always partners with G. This pairing is what forms the rungs of that famous DNA ladder. But here's the thing you've got to remember. It's not just about the letters themselves. It's the sequence, the specific order they're in, that matters most. That order, which stretches on for about 3 billion letters, contains the precise instructions for building and operating you. It's what makes you and your genome one of a kind. So we have the language, we have the letters and the text. But how does the body actually read this language to, build things? Well, that brings us to the most important functional bits of DNA, the genes. Think of a gene as a single recipe in that giant instruction manual. It's a specific stretch of DNA that holds the instructions for building one very specific thing, a protein. Your genome is packed with about 20,000 of these protein-making recipes. So, why are we so focused on proteins? Well, because they do pretty much all the work. They're the construction workers, the messengers, the tiny machines in your body. They form your hair and muscles, they carry oxygen in your blood. Basically, genes provide the blueprints, but it's the proteins that actually build and run the whole show.
Now, remember how you get two copies of every gene, one from each parent? Well, those copies might not be perfectly identical. Different versions of the same gene are called alleles. Even a single letter difference in the recipe can create a new allele. And it's these little variations that give us all our diverse traits, like different eye colors or blood types.
So let's break that down. If you inherit the exact same version of a gene from both parents, say the allele for blue eyes from both, your genetic state for that trait is homozygous. But if you get two different versions, like one allele for blue eyes and another one for brown, then you're heterozygous for that trait.
But that brings up a really big question, right? If every single cell has the same giant instruction manual, how on earth does a skin cell know to be a skin cell and not, say, a brain cell? The answer is something called gene expression. Your cells are selective. They only read the chapters or the recipes that are relevant to their specific job, turning some genes on while leaving thousands of others off.
And one of the body's cleverest tools for doing this is a process called DNA methylation. You can think of it like putting a tiny chemical sticky note on a gene that says, hey, don't read this one right now. The body can add or remove these signals with incredible precision to control exactly which proteins get made, where, and when. It's how all this amazing complexity comes from a single blueprint. Of course, the copying process isn't always 100% perfect. Sometimes a change pops up in the DNA sequence, basically a typo in the recipe. We call that a mutation. Now, the word mutation can sound a little scary, but many of them are completely harmless. Some, though, can change the instructions for a protein in a critical way, which can affect its function, and sometimes that can contribute to a health condition. Okay, let's zoom all the way back out and put it all together. Your genome is the complete instruction manual. Its 46 chromosomes are the volumes. DNA is the text written inside those volumes, and genes are the individual recipes. Alleles are the slight variations in those recipes that make us all different, and gene expression is the amazing process of deciding which recipes to use at any given time. We've journeyed all the way from the person you see in the mirror down to the very letters that write your existence. Being able to read this biological code is, without a doubt, one of the most powerful scientific achievements in all of human history. And it leaves us with this huge, profound question. Now that we can read the book of life, what responsibility do we have for the chapters we decide to write next?